Warmest of greetings, friends, and welcome to Dicefunction Discussion, the official Dicefunctional podcast, where a bunch of friends sit around to discuss their awesome D&D game with all of you, our wonderful audience. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in and obviously wanting to learn more about our awesome characters, the awesome time that we're having, and just supporting us in general. We appreciate you guys. Now, I have some awesome guests with me today, as per usual, but before we begin, real quick housekeeping, just as a reminder to all of you, our wonderful listeners, if you do have questions for the group that you want answered here on the podcast, you can always tweet us at Dicefunctional with an underscore, like I'm always saying. Leave a comment on YouTube, or you can leave a question for us in our Dicefunctional Discord, which can be found if you're on the Twitch channel. Just check it out there. It's honestly the easiest way to get questions to us, and I'm always looking for more questions. It's a fun way to have all of my guests talk about their characters in ways that you're interested in, because, hey, we also want to answer questions that you guys might have, and sometimes you guys can come up with pretty awesome questions, so I'm excited for those. But let's get into actually talking about the game, because there's a lot that has been happening. With me today, I have Becca, voice of Feldeah, and Jalli, voice of Maddie. Guys, how's it going?
Pretty good.
I'm tired.
Well, that's just, a given, but beyond that.
Oh, yeah. If you're listening to this later, we are in month, 2 at least of lockdowns here in the United States due to COVID-19.
I think it's month 3.
Everyone's starting to lose their minds a little bit. I feel like at this point. But you know what? That's the fun part of having a fun D&D game is, that doesn't necessarily exist in that world. And you can exist in that world for a little bit where things are arguably infinitely more scary. But, yeah, you can deal with them better, I feel like. It depends. It's fun of playing D&D.
I can punch more things in the face in D&D than I can in real life.
Oh,
so.
wow.
There you go. You actually have a reason to stab people.
I do.
Makes it easier, right?
I'm kidding. Right. I don't hurt people in real life ever. I don't have any desire to. It's a joke, guys. It's a gaff.
Hey, there you go. Cut to 10 years later, and it's like,
I'm arrested
Becca,
for
member of Dicefunctional, arrested for assault.
I got 3
on an
murders
individual
under my
she
belt.
believed was a demon. It's like, what the fuck, man? Could be actual demons at this rate. You never know. But we aren't here to predict the future. We are here to talk about the past, as in the past of our game, the past 2 sessions. Or just a quick overview of kind of what happened. The group has come back to their estate after dealing with the Rosenvales. We have seen building different things, getting different things completed. There was a whole thing with Gale and Addix making a trip. We got to finally hear some actual stuff about Gale's history, and then Maddie finally used the wish, which was awesome. Got to meet Amelie and deal with all of that and start to learn more about Maddie as well, which is really cool to see. I've got some questions here from some members of the cast, and Becca, we'll start with one for you first. This one's from Chess. So her question is, now that you've been given a real order by your patron, does Dea feel confined by this at all? Especially knowing she has to do it, and she doesn't have a good relationship with the idea of gods. Is there any requests the hunter could make of her currently that would make her immediately uncomfortable or be unable to do?
Yeah, so she doesn't actually feel that confined by the order, mostly because she pretty much knew it was coming. When she made the pact initially. I mean, it was part of the deal. It was like he would give her more tools to be more effective, and in return, he would ask her to do some things for him, which would amount to like hunting things. So she kind of like she didn't know when it would come, but she knew it would come eventually. So it's just sort of like part of the give and take. And it's better than if any other god had told her to do it. Because if another god had told her, "Hey, ships are dying, go do this," she'd be like what the fuck, man? Like I was already gonna do it, and now I don't wanna.
Mm-hmm.
That's but her relationship with the hunter god is rather unique, and like so this is sort of payment for the magic he's given her. um I don't know what the hunter would do to make her like uncomfortable or not want to do it. I mean, there's always like she's always kind of prepared for danger. She already knew, going onto the ocean would be dangerous for other reasons. So it's just like, well, there's just one more thing here. Um, but I guess like if he ever tried to like get her to recruit someone, to like follow him or something, like
Yeah.
if he ever tried to get her to get someone else to do something, I don't think she would be super into it. Because she is not a a phone operator.
She doesn't like playing middleman or anything
she
like that.
she is not middleman.
Yeah. That does seem to be more Deus type of like, yeah, man, like whatever. You can tell me to do things. I know you're giving me power, but like I'm not here to like be your errand boy or anything like that.
Yeah, it's like this is yeah. It's kind of I guess in a way it's similar to Avaro giving her a mission. It's like yeah, I mean you tell me to do this. I knew it was coming. It's part of the job that I accepted. It's the role that I accepted.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Definitely makes sense. And then we have a question here for you as well from Michelle. So Dea for a long time has sort of been in the background of things, working as more support to other people's stories, than fully looking for kind of her own thing to do. Like there has been a lot of Aristal stuff, and Dea's been very involved, but it hasn't been so much. Hey, this is a thing about me and for me so much. But with this latest development, she seems more likely to be like leading, and kind of taking charge with this mission with Aristil. How does she feel about this, especially as the person in the group with the most experience with water and the possible monster we might be fighting?
I did not have time to think about this question. um, it's definitely going to be interesting having her be sort of more in the spotlight. Because I mean, she's always sort of at times tried to take charge in some way. But this will be the first time that she will like really kind of get like people will actually look to her instead of her being like, hey guys, we should do this. So I'm not sure how she'll react quite yet, because I'm not entirely sure how the others will act around her quite yet. um but there's probably going to be some nervousness, and I mean she hasn't been like in charge of something since before the Blue Cloaks. Um, so that will be. I don't know if it would like bring up memories, but it would like kind of become a comparable situation with odd differences, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you think that Dea would be the type to easily step back into that role? Is that something that she feels comfortable with, or is she more comfortable with the idea of, nah, like I'm part of this different group and kind of doing things differently now, so I don't, I don't want to hop up on the helm and just start yelling at people again.
I mean, she might be a little bit rusty because she hasn't. I mean, other than our trip to Danos, which she didn't do anything on the ship because the NPCs took care of everything. But she hasn't like
NPCs.
gone sailing in I think over a year by now. Um, but it was also something that like she'd been like prepared to do for a long time. So I don't think it would be that unfamiliar to her to to start bossing people around.
Fair play. Fair play. That makes sense. Are you excited as the player to see Dea in kind of, I guess, on her home floor, as you will, in
um,
her elements?
yes, and then there's also the side of me that's like, wait, I don't know anything about boats. I don't know how to be a pirate. I gotta do this now. I have to pretend like I do.
I
So,
gotta research now.
yikes. I know the names of some of the roles on the ship. I know how to pronounce bosun. It's not boatswain or boatswain. It's bosun.
How do
I
you know what
got
that
that.
means?
So if I have that, I sound like I know what I'm doing.
There you go. Goes on to Amazon, searches boating terms for dummies. Okay, cool.
Got it.
Nailed it. Authenticity. It's always, well, I shouldn't say it's always what we strive for, but hey, it makes it more fun. Get to use boating terms that you don't normally get to use in normal conversation anymore. Or maybe some of you do, and you know what? If you do, that's cool because I don't know any of them. Um, but yeah, thank you for those, Becca. And now we have some questions for Jalli, but they're similar enough. I'm gonna kind of roll these all into one for you, Jalli, and we're gonna have you
Yeah.
kind of talk about some of this stuff because if you haven't listened to the most recent episode, first of all, shame on you because we got to meet Amelie, and that's been something that I know we as players, and I'm pretty sure Jalli, and hopefully you as the audience have been looking forward to for a long time. So it's pretty cool. So Maddie is finally seeing her mom for the first time in 20 years. And it was brought up during the conversation that, yeah, her mom absolutely did miss her. And, there were a lot of emotions there as well. But we're also still seeing a little bit of the side of her mom almost looks like she's still looking to get back into the fight if she has to at some point. So we had a little bit of that duality here, but it was mostly like a lot of strong emotions. So what were, in your mind, Jalli, what were some of the strongest emotions that Maddie was feeling there? Was it a lot of and we'll kind of do this in stages. Was it a lot of like relief that like, hey, my mom is actually here? Was it just kind of this overwhelming like, holy crap, like I actually get to have a conversation with my mom and actually meet my mom? Or was it kind of something in the middle? Or I guess I should ask this too, did it actually meet Maddie's expectations of meeting her mom?
Oh god, that session was just overwhelming overall. Oh, like my god, I have to pretend to miss someone that I actually haven't seen in 20 years. Like, can you imagine that? Oh god. I think her overall emotion, like just meeting her mom, is somewhat. I guess you could say it's relief, but at the same time, there's like some unanswered questions that she has, and like her mom's decision of, look, like I didn't even tell Finn about what I am, nor did I let my friends like even show up for you um during your childhood. They started hiding, that kind of thing. She's somewhat mad, I guess you could say. And if she does consider leaving again, she's still gonna ask like, what's the point on keep fighting if you have, a spouse here and your daughter? Like, what's the point of having a family if you're just gonna keep fighting? You know,
Oh yeah.
like I think that's on her mind. It's like, what's the point of even having me in the first place if you're just putting other priorities against your family? That's just like
Damn.
that's. I had this deep conversation with a friend on another Discord server. It's just like, hey, would it be reasonable if Maddie would be mad at her mom because knowing that she's been hiding a lot from her spouse, like Finn, not telling him the truth about her, um, all of that jazz. Like Maddie wouldn't have to figure all of this out on her own. Like in her early 20s. She wished she could have figured this out as a kid. It wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
Yeah,
be.
that makes sense.
It wouldn't be. But no, she has to figure this out when someone died. Like, what kind of? That's just some bad way of like learning what the heck you are.
Oh yeah. Like maximum stress situation. Oh, by the way, here's all this other shit that we just didn't tell you about.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, I guess she could say she's somewhat like, yeah, happy but more mad at her mom. It's
Yeah.
it's a bit of mix of emotions at this point.
Yeah. I can see both the, oh my gosh, like I actually get to see you, because like not expecting to ever see her mom, I'm sure was a thing for Maddie. But then
Yeah.
also the, yo, like I'm actually of like celestial blood, and that's kind of a big deal. So like you could have at least told me. Also, you're being kind of shitty and running away from things. Like,
Like you're being
yeah,
mature, like being less mature. Like it's not very mature of you as a mother to tell your daughter or even your lover about that kind of deal. Like,
yeah,
come
it's a
on,
big thing.
at least ease the weirdness a little bit.
Yeah. By the way, there's this thing. I don't want you to worry about it, but it is a thing. Yeah. To kind of get to the second part of what we had a couple questions on. What is Maddie kind of most worried about when it comes to what her mom's going to do next? Is it more worried about her mom? Is she worried more about Finn? Is it kind of a combination of the two? Is she more maybe now worried about herself kind of instead, because it's like there's clearly a lot bigger things going on, and her mom's not doing a great job at answering questions so far.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. And then what is Maddie looking most forward to learning from or about her mom?
Well, the whole worried about the parents thing. I think she's mostly worried about. Well, I'd say she's more worried about Finn, but I wouldn't say she would also worry about her mom, but she doesn't know about her as much, just not yet. Um, she doesn't know like what her strengths in terms of like, hey, maybe you are that strong, or maybe not. I don't know. She just doesn't know yet. It's like meeting a complete stranger, but technically she's your mom. So like, what's we're we don't know at this point.
Yeah.
So, there's just like some unsolved answers that she would have to ask her mom more about. I guess she's looking forward to learning about her, like what she is, or like her why she left home, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like she doesn't even know the whole point of being like in the other plane yet because she hasn't seen it, or been to it. But I mean, is it that boring? Like, or are you really telling the truth about that?
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason I just can't trust Emily. For some reason, she's hiding something that I don't understand why she would even leave. I mean, sure, I guess you could say she would leave home if she was bored, but um why, like, what is she even fighting for exactly?
Oh yeah. Like too much mystery, and she's been gone for too long. So where you're like, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about that.
I mean, yeah, like, what's the point even keep on fighting if you left home anyway? Or like, is there some group that you're working for? Is this kind of a solo mission thing? Is this something that you follow? Like, is there a deity that she follows? Like, I don't know. Like, what's the point of her fighting anyway? That's what I'm trying to understand.
I I agree. They're all interesting thoughts to have. So I guess there's this other question too. Does Maddie trust her mom with her dad?
That's what she's worried about,
Yeah.
actually. I think it's because the fact that maybe they might consider bringing, no, not bringing, but if the fiends are considered finding her again, I think that's what she's more worried about. Sure,
Mm-hmm.
the group's been dealt with, but I think maybe there's some other group, or they might try to find for her. And considering that Finn is a normal baker and has no strength whatsoever, there is no
Yeah.
way he
He's
can't
just
fight.
a little man.
He can't fight. He can't. I
I
think Maddie would not forgive herself if her dad is put in danger. And I guess there's some alignment of like, maybe this is why Emily doesn't tell Finn about this sort of stuff, and then probably that's why she didn't tell Maddie. But at the same time, like, oh god, now they're both in the thick of things at this point. There's no way of hiding it anymore.
Oh yeah. You're not getting around that.
Pretty much.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Well, it's cool. I think it'll be really cool to see how Maddie approaches that and how Maddie approaches her mom. Um, I guess one other question that I just thought of, um, does is do you think Maddie's going to be more inclined to kind of showing her mom kind of a bit of a colder shoulder, or is she already kind of forgiving her mom for leaving?
I think it just depends on the unanswered questions that she would ask, depending on how vague or how straightforward she would answer. Because obviously, I don't know if what she's saying is true. She's very shifty, for one thing.
Yeah.
And it's just, it still feels like talking to a complete stranger. She's hiding something. We just don't know. I guess not right now, she's giving the cold shoulder, but depends on the conversation between Emily and Maddie at this point.
That makes sense. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, I would not be surprised if there's some like hesitance, like mentioned she's a stranger. Like she functionally is a stranger to Maddie. Like Maddie last saw her when she was 4.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't know anyone at 4. Do you remember who you met at 4?
No.
No.
She only knows her dad. That's the one thing she trusts.
I mean, that's fair. That's who's been in her life and has been taking care of her this whole time up until she joined Fortune's Blade. So,
Yep.
oh yeah. Hey, I mean, it makes sense. Amelie was whether by choice or not was the absentee parent in this case. So it's like, so you come back in and you have that moment. And it makes sense. All right, we got a couple questions for me, Jace, regarding Gale. So first one is Gale is getting this new armor made from the elk that he talked to. Does Gale have any thoughts about the fact that he's currently becoming more and more an avatar of death as he acquires more ornaments of things that he's killing? Also, Gale just got a new greenhouse home. Does this kind of atmosphere make him feel more connected to his past and mom, or is this just something that felt right to him to do for other reasons? So the whole avatar of death thing is kind of weird for Gale, especially because it's not anything that he went in knowing, like intelligence wise. Yeah, this is a thing. Gale operates a lot on feeling, and that was just kind of what he felt at the moment, and it just sort of worked out that way. Obviously, fate is a very big element in everything involving Gale. And even though we haven't actually seen his armor yet, he hasn't actually had a chance to put it on in game yet. But it is made out of some of the bones from the elk, and it will, in a way, kind of match his helmet. That is going to be something that I don't think will hit until if there are potentially more moments like that in the future. Gale just sees it as kind of a. I don't think that it's even really hit him. I hate to. He might see it as an avatar of death thing, but he also may not. But yeah, Gale just kind of instinctually understands that there's a balance with life and death, and he feels like he's kind of there in the middle, making sure that there's light for both sides and for everyone to kind of come together under that. As far as the greenhouse home, it's a little bit of both. Gale really missed like sleeping outside, essentially, because as comfortable as it is having walls around you, Gale likes sleeping among plants, likes being out in nature. That it feels a little bit nicer to him, especially between having the smell pouch, having all of the plant life around him, and now an awakened cilantro plant that he can talk to, which reminds him reminds him of his mom's trees in a way, which is interesting.
And you've got the little mushroom guy.
Yeah, and Syl is still there running around.
Who knows
and
where Syl is?
Yeah, Syl's in the greenhouse somewhere, and Gale's just like, yeah, he's around here somewhere. I'm not worried about him. And Gale gets to sleep in a hammock again, which I know it's never been like actually talked about in game, but yeah, no, Gale loves hammocks. Like, they're his favorite thing to sleep in. So yeah, no, he's glad to be out of there. And he also, Gale's one of those people where he wants to make sure that that there are as many rooms as possible are available to people if they need them. He doesn't see having a bedroom as like a thing that he owns. So having this one room that's like, oh, this is Gale's room, he always felt kind of weird, and like, I mean, it's mine, but like if people need to use it, like they can just use it. Like it's not something that I have full control over. So he's kind of glad to be in the greenhouse where he's like, all right, cool, like I'm in a shared space. This is absolutely a shared space, and nobody's going to argue with that. And then, obviously, hey, if we need medical assistance for somebody, just use my old room. Yeah. Just use that.
Oh my God.
Turn that into a hospital. That's cool. I don't need ownership of that room. Please take it away from me.
And he has the biggest bed, so it can fit anyone.
Exactly. Like, it fits. Like, it's taken care of. Yeah. No, he'll like that. And it does remind him, or it will absolutely remind him more of home. And he just likes that. It's more invigorating in that way. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit of both as far as reasonings go. And then the second question was Gale in the previous session where Maddie had her wish. Some other things were made by the members of the group. Was a little bit quiet. So kind of after that week that Gale spent with addicts going and doing their thing, Gale was just kind of hanging out and everything like that. and then the question is, what is his feeling right now, and what does he expect to happen with all these developments? Gale is in a bit of an interesting place right now. He's had there are a couple of things that haven't quite been revealed yet, that he had made in the in-between time. Nothing big and magical or anything like that, but they're kind of sentimental to him. He feels a little weird that lately, and he's kind of mentioned it before, where some of the things that his mom always told him are starting to happen. And as vague as they were, he's seeing some weird connections, and Gale's still trying to figure out what his own deal is, and there's so much that's happened to him that has just never been explained, and now a bunch of things are starting to happen that are starting to connect some of the things, and that's very weird to him. He's like, oh, well, there might be more behind this, and he's actually thinking about all of that now. And he can't just be like, oh, yeah, it's just, fate just happens. And, I follow what the trees tell me to do. He's like, yeah, that doesn't explain any of this now. Like, I could throw, any sort of bullshit test is just poking holes, as big as houses through that theory. So he's like, fuck, I gotta come up with something. And then he's also seeing all of his friends grow and become stronger, and they're doing bigger, more important things. But Gale also sees a lot of the stuff that's going down in the world. It feels to him a lot bigger than just these isolated incidents. And it's kind of the same thing of, I'm in the middle of all of this. I need to figure out, one, why am I always in the middle of this? And two, what is actually going on, because I would like to not have to keep doing this for like the rest of my life. Like, I don't want, as much as it's awesome to be an adventurer and, do all this and help people, Gale is one of those who he does not want to spend all of his life in battle. As much as Gale's very good at fighting and very good at killing, he's not the forever soldier. He doesn't want to spend his whole life at war. Like, Gale wants peace. Gale wants to figure this out so that way, his friends can do, kind of relating to almost the opposite of Amelie, where he wants like all of the the forever soldier types to have a home and have a family and have that like nice calm life where they can have little thing, the balance. You have little things to worry about, but you have a lot of little joys, and it's just nice and simple and calm. As unrealistic as that really is, Gale doesn't want to spend the rest of his life and see his friends fighting the rest of their lives and stuff like that. So he's like, yeah, I need to start figuring some things out at some point. And then what does he expect with all the developments? Nothing. It's the beauty of Gale. Gale goes, well, we're starting to figure this out, but I have zero expectations for what's actually going to happen because weird shit's been happening my whole life. So I've learned to expect that, hey, I don't know what's going on. It's kind of the fun part about playing Gale is just zero thought to, I wonder what the next step is going to be. He goes, all right, well, what's the next part that's going to happen? Okay, cool. We're going to protect our friends. Let's go.
Head empty, heart full, muscles huge.
Exactly. So that's always the weird part for me is like, most of the time, like, I'll tell people, most of the notes that I take are like, just I don't take detailed notes as Gale because there's so much of this information that Gale just does not retain. It's like that. Then none of this matters. Okay, tell me what I have to kill and how do I kill it? Okay, I'll remember that. How much does this thing cost? Okay, I know what I need to trade you for this. Like, that's what matters to Gale. So it's really weird that like, people are talking about going through multiple notebooks. I have like 5-6 pages of notes for the whole from the time I started, because it's just like, yeah, Gale's just not concerned at all with any of this. Like, I mean, for fuck's sake, he apparently canonically doesn't know what a living room is. So, you know.
I love that scene so much.
The living room.
When else were after the game, I'm going, wow, that was dumb, but okay, you know what? I love it. It's so good.
I honestly, like, to accidentally bring it back to today a little bit, just to talk about the relationship. I really love it when Dea gets the chance to like mess around with Gale like that.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Because like Mercy always tries to like explain exactly what she'd be like. A living room's where you got the couches. Gale, there's no trees in the living room except for maybe a potted plant. Dea's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah. You make perfect sense.
I just want to mention that part when Dea and Mercy had that conversation. We're just like, yeah, she heals me, and then I help her, and then she feeds me, and I do nothing.
And I have nothing else to give.
I mean, oh gee, no wonder Matt doesn't like you.
that was a good one.
It was really funny.
That broke me. Oh my, it's so true though. She doesn't really do anything for Maddie other than protect.
She swings a big. Hey, protecting is pretty important. I mean,
Yeah.
It's true.
It's true. The beats me part killed me. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I love
like
it.
I like that we had some space to actually have a lot of those like really like classic Fortune's Blade interactions, and got to show more of that dynamic too, because it's been a lot of like intense moments and a lot of, all right, well, we're all absolutely on the same page, we're very serious, like we're in the shit, we're getting things done, and it's been that way for all of the members for a while now, and kind of having a moment to be like, okay, cool, like we're just here, and there isn't like some imminent thing hanging over our head, like so close that we can touch it, and you get to have that moment of, yeah, Maddie and Mercy kind of having that, yeah, no, like we deal with each other, but and then Dea just kind of going, yeah, Gale, whatever, like I just don't have the mental bandwidth to deal with your bullshit.
She just thinks it's funny. Like it's nice to have those moments of levity, because like I mean, Dea doesn't know how to relax, but the way I draw her and the way she comes off a lot is like super edgy and kind of like angsty, and she does have sort of a mean streak. Like I'll own up to that. She can get mean, but she's really just like sarcastic. Like she did have friends before Fortune's Blade beyond her brother. Like she wasn't like this unlovable person. So it is kind of nice to be able to like joke around with her a little bit, and enable Gale.
Yeah.
Like,
Can we talk about the time that we just bullying Rudy with Allison?
That was good.
Oh my god, I love teasing Rudy. It's just like, yeah, you brought Alice here, didn't you?
that was so good.
That whole thing was amazing.
Listen, like, if Maddie can get teased by that sort of thing, she can tease Rudy.
It's open season, all right?
It's all
you only give what you can take.
All spare and love and war.
Exactly.
I love having those moments. It's good, because I think at the end of the day, especially with what we've seen lately, I think Fortune's Blade is coming together more as like a family. And
yeah.
it's important to have those moments to balance out the, oh yeah, cool, we dealt with a bunch of really weird undead shit and like all sorts of weird like cults, and hey, we saw like an actual demon that like walked up and talked to us. Like that shit's not normal. And it's like, oh yeah, like we can like like actually have a conversation with our mom that we haven't seen in 20 years, and oh yeah, I can actually go on a date with this other adventurer, and you know, hey, my friends who all live with me and have been through hell with me can, you know, tease me about that. And you know, and I like that I like that even Maddie can now kind of get in on, you know, ribbing people a little bit. It shows a lot of growth. It's really, really cool. All right, one last question, and this is for everybody. So Jalli, we'll start with you, and then Becca, and then I will answer. So it looks like we're headed back onto the ocean again. How is everybody feeling about being on the ocean?
Well, I guess she's scared. Well, I mean, general reaction, because, you know, she's the one that told Thea, like, hey, the thing I mentioned, yeah, it's in the ocean. Or, like, what Cal's doing is, probably something that we should also try to deal with. She's gonna try to be there for Dea, but, like, you know, she doesn't know her limitations of, like, you know, I don't know what to do for you. Like, I don't know. I'll be there, but, like, like, how much can I help? You know? And obviously, like, she knows that Dea's not a touchy person, but, you know, she kind of wished that she was in some way.
The yearning.
The yearning.
It's real.
It's real. But obviously, like, she's scared of the unknown. I mean, she hasn't been home, or, like, far from home, technically, and she's leaving her mom with her dad. Hopefully she doesn't leave home. I swear to God, Emily, if you leave home, I will hunt you down. I swear to God. I swear to God. But yeah, I think she's just worried. She's just worried that also maybe they might even, you know, run into Cal. Maybe, I don't know. There's a possibility, but she's just more worried about, you know, Dea's well-being, being back on the boat again. And yeah.
Well, now let's get Dea's perspective on that.
Wow.
Becca.
Dea is deliberately not thinking too deep about it. She's like, cool, back on the boat. We're gonna go back to Danos. Probably I'll hunt a kraken or whatever for my god, and hope nothing else happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's future me's problem.
That's future me's problem. She is, yeah. She's very private, even to herself.
What, me? You didn't tell me about this thing. Well, me, I'm pretty sure you would have known about it if you'd actually listened, but...
Maybe you shouldn't have bottled up all your feelings and thrown them overboard, and, like, maybe we could deal with them as a proper adult, but no.
You should have created me in the first place. You have this inner dialogue on the outside with yourself. You sound like a crazy person.
Shut up. No, but I think she is kind of excited to get on a boat again. I mean, it was, you know, most of her life. And, like, not just, like, riding on a boat, but, like, actually possibly running a boat again. And I don't think it's really hit her that, like, she might have to deal with her her theoretical demons, her hypothetical demons. What's the word? Metaphorical demons.
There you go.
Got
however the demons are taking form. So,
yeah. I don't think it's really hit her that like her metaphorical demons might show up soon. She's just like, nope, that's later. We're doing other things first. That won't happen. That won't come. Um, so
Yeah.
she's got other priorities, or at least she pretends that she does.
Until they, show
Until
up right in
she's
front of her, right?
yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I feel that. And to wrap it up, as far as Gale, Gale, we should all know by now that Gale's just like, yep, this is fate. This is what we need to do. So I feel like we need to do this thing. He doesn't have anything more complex than that. I will say it's not specifically. Probably the one big difference is Gale is actually starting to get kind of distracted.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
So yeah, there's been a lot of stuff between one literally walking up to a giant elk and somehow just naturally, putting the animal at peace and being there to comfort it. The elk knowing that Gale was far away from the hurt, and all of Gale's past stuff has been coming up more and more and more, and it seems to be linked with whatever he's doing now. And there's a lot of stuff that he's in a way, Gale's run away from a lot of stuff that it's now just kind of going, no, this has been with you the whole time, and it's a part of you. So he's kind of distracted by that, and some of the, trying to, he's been really filling out the, again, everything his mom mentioned, and, becoming a Green Knight. So it's not so much, hey, we're just whatever blindly going into this thing. He's kind of distracted by, okay, why are we doing this particular time? So he's a little distracted by that, but other than that, he's still very good at understanding what his own mission is and what he's doing here. So it will be good. It'll be cool to see. I'm excited. Me as a player, I'm very excited because we get to do something like it's rather new. So I think we'll have a good time.
Yay!
Yeah.
It'll be good. It'll be a lot of fun. And for those of you that do enjoy watching live, you can actually experience this live with us as we start figuring out these things over at twitch.tv/Dicefunctional. We are live Saturdays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. You can catch us there playing this game, experiencing things, being on a boat, to kind of bring up images of that song because I used to listen to that song all the time. But that is neither here nor there. This is actually the end of the podcast. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. If you do enjoy these, make sure to check us out on podcast services, on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Twitter as well. We've mentioned them all as well. They'll be in the links. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to both Becca and Jalli for joining me on this. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. I'm supposed to say something here.
I didn't know
fine.
either.
Listen, I'm throwing you a curveball. That's what we're here. I got to keep you on your toes. I have to do it in real life like Gale does in game. But anyway, thank you so much, guys. We appreciate you guys supporting us, enjoying the show. We hope you enjoy all of these and future episodes, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.